AITA for telling my friend her boyfriend is a loser and she can do better? She asked for my honest opinion. I, 29F, might have really screwed up with my best friend Emily, 29F, last night. She asked for my honest opinion about her boyfriend Dave, 30M, and I told her exactly what I think, that he's a loser and she could do so much better. Now she's furious with me, Dave is furious with me, and I'm sitting here wondering if I'm the asshole. For some background, Emily and I have been close friends since high school. We've seen each other through everything, breakups, family dramas, you name it. About 2 years ago, Emily started dating Dave. From the get-go, I was skeptical, to put it mildly. Dave, in my opinion, has a lot of red flags. But Emily was happy, and I didn't want to rain on her parade, so I mostly kept my mouth shut beyond mild comments or raised eyebrows at certain things. Over time, though, it's been getting harder and harder to bite my tongue. Why do I think Dave is a loser? Let me count the ways. This might sound mean, but I'm just being honest here. Chronic unemployment. In the 2 years they've been together, Dave has not held down a steady job for more than a few months. He's always got an excuse. His boss was out to get him. The company was too demanding, or he's waiting for the right opportunity. Meanwhile, Emily works full-time and then some. Living situation Dave basically lives at Emily's apartment rent-free. He unofficially moved in a few months into the relationship, and as far as I know, he contributes almost nothing to rent or utilities. Emily isn't rich either. She struggles to pay bills sometimes, and I've spotted her covering his share more than once. Lack of effort. While Emily busts her butt at work and even picks up side gigs on weekends, Dave spends most of his time playing video games, hanging out, or half-heartedly browsing job listings for maybe an hour before getting distracted. He's 30 and acts like he's 19. Past behavior. He's got a bit of a history. He's quit jobs without having a backup plan multiple times. He's borrowed money from Emily that I'm not sure he ever paid back. And one time he even used her car and returned it with an empty tank and a dent, which she paid to fix. How he treats her this one is the most important. He's not abusive or overtly awful, but I feel he doesn't treat her with the respect she deserves. Example, she got a big promotion last year and we all went out to celebrate. Dave spent most of the night sulking, and at one point jokingly, but not really jokingly, said, "Don't go getting a big head just because you make more money than me now." I didn't find that funny. Emily laughed it off at the time, but later she admitted to me it bothered her. So yeah, in my eyes, this guy is not a great catch. Despite all that, I have never outright called him a loser to Emily's face until now. I've voiced concerns gently here and there. Emily usually just responds with things like, "I know Dave isn't super successful right now, but he has a good heart," or "He had a rough childhood, I need to be patient." She's extremely loyal to people she cares about, sometimes to her detriment. IMO. Fast forward to last night. Emily and I were hanging out at my apartment with a bottle of wine, having a much-needed girls' night. She seemed a bit down, and after some prodding, she started talking about her relationship. Apparently, she and Dave have been fighting more lately, mostly about the future. She wants to move forward like living together, officially. He basically already is, possibly getting engaged in the next year or two, stuff like that. Dave, on the other hand, has been evasive about commitment and keeps saying he needs to get his life on track first. Finally, something we agree on. Emily then said, and I'll never forget this because it kind of shocked me, "Be honest, do you think I'm wasting my time with Dave?" I nearly choked on my wine. She has never directly asked me for my true opinion of him. I guess all the little fights and his lack of progress has her second-guessing things, and she was looking for outside perspective. I tried to play it off at first with a neutral response like, "What do you feel? It matters what you think." But she pressed on. She said something like, "I have an idea of what you think already. You've never really liked him, have you? Please, I just need honesty. I won't get mad." Famous last words, right? I gave her one more chance to back out. "Are you sure? You really want my unfiltered opinion?" Emily said yes, absolutely. So, I took a deep breath and let it out. I told her that I love her like a sister, and she deserves the best, and that honestly, I do not think Dave is anywhere near the best. In fact, I think he's holding her back. I then, very candidly, went through a lot of the points I listed above. I tried to be calm and empathetic, but I didn't sugarcoat things. I said I felt he was immature, not pulling his weight, and that it worries me to see her essentially taking care of a grown man like he's a dependent. I even dropped the word loser at one point, as in, "Look, I'm sorry, but from where I stand, he's acting like a loser, and you can do so much better than that." As the words were coming out of my mouth, I could see Emily's face change. She went from curious to stunned to defensive and upset. By the time I finished my little speech, her eyes were watering. She was quiet for a moment, and I immediately felt a wave of, "Oh God, I went too far." Then she got angry. She said, "How can you say that? You barely know the real him. You're supposed to be my friend." I tried to explain that she asked for my honest opinion, And I care about her deeply, that's why I'm saying it. She snapped back with, I didn't ask for you to call my boyfriend a loser, what the hell, my name? At that point, I apologized for the language, but reiterated that I stand by the sentiment behind it. I truly think she's settling for less than she deserves. Emily was full-on crying by then and said, this was a mistake. I shouldn't have asked. She gathered her things and left my apartment, despite me trying to get her to stay and talk more. I told her, please, you wanted honesty. I'm sorry if it hurt you, but she just shook her head and left. That was last night. As of this afternoon, I have not heard from her. I sent a couple of texts. Hey, I'm really sorry about last night. Can we please talk when you're ready? I hate fighting with you. I hope you got home safe. I'm here if you want to talk more, or even if you want to yell at me. I love you. No response. I can see the messages were delivered, but not sure if she's read them. Curse you. Read receipts for not being enabled. Now, on top of feeling bad for making my best friend cry, I'm also dealing with fallout from another angle. Dave himself. I'm not sure if Emily told him about our conversation. I suspect she did, because how else? But this morning I woke up to a paragraph-long text from an unknown number. It turned out to be Dave. I didn't have his number saved. He basically went off on me, saying I'm a terrible friend, that I'm jealous of their relationship. LOL, definitely not. And that I don't know him at all. He said I crossed a line by insulting him and trying to meddle in their relationship. He also threw in something like, no wonder you're single. With that attitude, you'll probably turn away any decent guy. Ouch. For the record, I broke up with my own boyfriend 6 months ago, and I'm happily single at the moment, but thanks for the jab, dude. I didn't engage with Dave beyond a brief reply. I said something like, I'm sorry if Emily told you what I said, but this is really between her and me. I'd appreciate you not texting me insults. He replied once more with, stay out of our lives, and I left it at that. So now I'm just feeling like absolute garbage. I hate making my friend upset. On the other hand, she really did push me, to be honest. It's not like I blurted this out of nowhere unprovoked. I was asked, and I tried to convey it as kindly as possible, until, the loser comment slipped out. I do regret that wording, it was too harsh. But is the overall sentiment so wrong? Every single one of our mutual friends, there's a group of 4 of us who are all close, has quietly voiced concerns about Dave at one point or another. No one else has told her, though, at least not bluntly. I was kind of the one to bite the bullet when she directly asked. Speaking of our mutual friends, I'm wondering how this is going to ripple out. We're all supposed to go to another friend's birthday dinner next week. If Emily is still upset with me, that's going to be awkward as hell. I haven't told anyone else about this fight yet, but I'm sure Emily might confide in one of them. I'm bracing myself for some side-eye or for someone to tell me, wow, that was out of line. I feel conflicted. On one hand, I feel like a terrible person for hurting my best friend. I could have been more diplomatic, or maybe just refused to give my full opinion. On the other hand, I feel a bit frustrated, because she literally asked for honesty and I gave it, and it's not like what I said was lies. But sometimes the truth hurts, I guess. And maybe it wasn't my place to effectively say, dump his ass, though I didn't say those exact words. It was certainly implied. Right now, I'm letting her have space. I haven't tried to call, because I figure she's not ready to talk. I'm also a bit hurt by some of the things she said in the heat of the moment, like questioning my friendship and loyalty. I've been nothing but loyal, which is why this is so painful, but I know emotions were high. I'm honestly not sure if I did the wrong thing or not. Part of me feels like I was just being a good friend by finally telling her the truth, that many people won't. Another part of me feels like I was a complete asshole for not finding a more gentle way to say it, or for saying it at all. Maybe I should have lied or deflected until she figured things out herself? So, Reddit AITA here? Should I have just kept my mouth shut? Or was I justified since she really did ask for it? TLDR, my best friend asked for my honest opinion about her boyfriend. I told her I think he's a loser, lazy, mooching off her, not treating her right, and that she can do better. She got extremely upset and now isn't talking to me, and her boyfriend sent me angry texts. I feel bad for hurting her, but she did ask for honesty. Did I go too far, and am I the asshole for what I said? Edit. Wow, I did not expect this post to get so much attention. I see a lot of comments asking if I could have phrased it differently, or pointing out that I might have pent up frustration that exploded. You're probably right. To answer a common question, yes, I've tried to support Emily throughout her relationship, even though I had doubts. I realize now that maybe I should have voiced concerns earlier in a gentle way, rather than letting it boil over like this. Also, some of you assumed I called Dave a loser out of nowhere, but as I explained, it was said in context after she pressed me. Still, I get that it was hurtful. I sent Emily another apology, specifically for the word loser, because that was mean. No reply yet. I'll post an update later if anything major happens. Thanks for the input. Even the ones calling me TA, I want to hear all sides. Update 1. Update 1. Hi everyone. I didn't expect to be updating this soon, but a lot has happened in the week since I posted. First, I want to thank everyone for the judgments and advice. I got a mix of ATA and NTA, and plenty of, it's not what you said but how you said it. All fair. Reading the responses gave me a lot to think about. So here's what happened after my original post. A couple days went by with radio silence from Emily. I gave her space like Minnie suggested. We have a small group of mutual friends. Let's call them Mia and Jess for this update. And we were all supposed to attend our friends, not in our immediate group, birthday dinner a few nights after the incident. I wasn't sure if Emily would go. It turned out she did, and so did I. The dinner was awkward. Emily pointedly sat at the opposite end of the table from me and barely made eye contact. Mia and Jess knew something was up between us. We're usually joined at the hip during outings, but didn't press in front of others. I tried to act normal, but the tension was thick. At one point during the dinner, when Emily went to the restroom, Mia whispered to me, "Okay, what's going on with you two?" Emily seems upset. I just told them we had a fight, and I'd explain later. I ended up leaving the dinner early because I felt so uncomfortable. And honestly, a bit hurt that my best friend was icing me out in public. I texted Emily later saying, "Good to see you tonight, I miss you and really hope we can talk soon." No immediate response. The next day, Mia and Jess separately got the scoop from Emily. Apparently, Emily did tell them about our fight, at least her version of it. Mia called me and said that Emily was really hurt and angry because I called Dave a loser to her face and told her to dump him. I explained more fully what happened from my perspective. Mia was sympathetic to both sides. She said something like, "It wasn't cool of you to use that word, but I know you meant well. Em's just really sensitive about Dave." Jess, on the other hand, texted me basically to say she thought I was out of line and should apologize big time. So even among my friends, opinions were divided. Kinda like the AITA comments, honestly. All this made me feel even more crappy. I did want to apologize. To clarify, I had already apologized for hurting her feelings, but I hadn't yet given a specific apology for the loser comment. I decided that I'd send an email, since she wasn't responding to texts or picking up calls. In the email, I basically poured my heart out, apologizing for the harsh wording, explaining that my intent was to look out for her, and acknowledging that ultimately it's her life and I overstepped. I also emphasized that I value her and our friendship so much, and I hoped we could find a way to talk it out whenever she was ready. I sent that 2 days ago. No reply via email or otherwise until last night. Finally, Emily called me. I was actually nervous to pick up, but I did. She was very cold at first. She said, "I got your email, I needed some time to process it." I said I understood and thanked her for calling. We ended up talking for nearly 2 hours, and it was an emotional roller coaster. We both cried at different points. It started tense, then there was a huge revelation, I'll get to that in a sec, and by the end, I'm not sure where we stand, to be honest. First, Emily told me how betrayed she felt, that I would call the man she loves a loser. She said, "You're supposed to be my best friend. Even if you think it, how could you say that to me?" I reiterated that she did ask for my raw honesty, but I was really sorry for the way I said it. I told her I regretted using that word, and that I only said all that because I care about her. She said something along the lines of, "There's a fine line between caring and just being cruel." That stung, but I kept my tone gentle and told her I never meant to be cruel. I also asked her why she pushed me, to be honest, if she was going to be so upset by my answer. She admitted that she had been feeling insecure and doubtful about her relationship, and maybe on some level she knew what I would say, but hearing it out loud from someone else made it real, and that freaked her out. She said, "I was kinda hoping you'd say something to reassure me, actually. Like, that I wasn't wasting my time. I wanted validation, not whatever that was." I sighed and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were looking for reassurance. You asked for honesty, and I gave it, albeit very bluntly." We went in circles a bit, rehashing the situation. She wasn't really disputing the facts of what I said about Dave. Hard to argue, since most of it is true, but she was super angry that I judged him so harshly. She said I only see the bad and not the good in him. I asked her genuinely to help me see the good, because from my vantage point I just see him hurting her. That's when things took an unexpected turn. Emily just kinda broke down sobbing and blurted out, "You don't understand, I'm pregnant." I swear, I almost dropped the phone. That was the last thing I expected to hear. I was momentarily speechless. Then a million thoughts and questions flooded in. I gently asked how far along and if Dave knows, etc. She's about 8 weeks along. She only found out a couple weeks ago, and she hasn't told almost anyone. Mia and Jess didn't know either. She told Dave about a week ago, around the time she and him started fighting more, which now casts those fights in a new light. According to Emily, when she told Dave, his reaction was not great. He wasn't angry or telling her to not have it or anything, but he kinda shut down and said, "I'm not ready to be a dad." He even suggested maybe they should wait, aka consider not having the baby, I guess. Emily is conflicted, but leaning towards keeping the baby. She's always wanted to be a mom someday. That conversation with Dave left her devastated and uncertain about their future. So here's the kicker. The very night she asked for my opinion was the day after Dave made his not ready stance clear. She was feeling heartbroken and unsure if she should even stay with him, hence why she asked me if I thought she was wasting her time. I had no idea any of this was going on. Suddenly, so much made sense. Her extreme reaction wasn't just about me insulting her boyfriend. It was about me essentially saying, the father of your child is a loser, at a time when she was already emotionally wrecked and frightened about her pregnancy and relationship. She hadn't told me about the pregnancy because she was probably still processing it and wasn't ready to share, especially given the circumstances. I nearly started crying myself at this point and just said, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. If I had known. I mean, I still worry about Dave's ability to step up, but I would have never been so blunt. I was overwhelmed. I congratulated her, awkwardly given the context, but I did, because I know she has wanted kids eventually, and also expressed concern about what this means for her. Emily was pretty emotional, understandably. She said, now you know why I was so upset. I'm dealing with so much, and then to hear my best friend basically say, your boyfriend sucks, just broke me. I told her I understood, and again apologized for adding to her stress. We talked about the pregnancy a bit. I asked her, what do you want to do? She said she's still undecided, but leaning towards keeping it, and that part of her hoped my saying she can do better might mean she could handle being a single mom if it came to that. Like, she was subconsciously looking for someone to tell her she'd be okay without Dave. But my delivery just made her defensive of Dave, because that's her reflex. I admitted that from everything I've seen, Dave has not demonstrated the kind of responsibility one would want in a father, and I'm worried for her. But I promise that no matter what she chooses to do about the baby or the relationship, I will support her. I also told her I'd keep this information completely confidential until she's ready to share it. She made me promise not to tell our other friends. She's not ready to deal with the wider friend group knowing yet. By the end of the call, we were both emotionally exhausted. I did ask her how things were with her and Dave since that conversation. She said they're civil, but there's a lot of tension. He apparently apologized for reacting poorly, but still hasn't given her any reassurance that he's stepping up. He's been sleeping on the couch, and she's not sure if he's distancing himself or just processing. I carefully avoided saying anything negative about him, like, see, this is what I meant. I just listened and said things like, I'm here for you, whatever you decide. I think I learned my lesson about sharing unasked opinions, especially now with the pregnancy dynamic. I'm keeping my thoughts on Dave's behavior to myself unless she asks. When we finally hung up, things between me and Emily were better, I guess. At least we're talking again. She did thank me for apologizing and for being there for her now. But there's still a bit of a cloud over our friendship. I can tell she's still a little hurt and maybe resentful of how everything went down. And I'm worried for her future. So that's where we are. Emily is pregnant with Dave's baby, their relationship is on the rocks, and she and I have tentatively reconciled, though it's delicate. I'm going to do my best to be supportive and not push my opinions unless she asks, and even then I'll be more tactful. This definitely qualifies as one of the messiest situations we've ever been in. I'll update again down the line as things develop, especially regarding what Emily decides to do and how Dave rises to the occasion. Or doesn't. Right now, I'm just trying to be the best friend I can and not add more stress to her life. TLDR of Update 1. After a tense week, Emily and I finally talked. She revealed she's pregnant with her boyfriend's baby, which explains a lot about her extreme reaction. She was already stressed because he reacted poorly to the pregnancy news. We've cautiously made up, and I've apologized for my harsh words. She's unsure about her relationship and the pregnancy moving forward. I've promised to support her no matter what. Things are still messy, but at least we're communicating again. Update 2. Final update. It's been about 4 months since my last update. Emily is now around 6 months pregnant, and things have definitely changed. In some ways for the better, in other ways it's still really hard. I wanted to close the loop on this story. Shortly after my last update, it became increasingly clear that Dave was not going to magically transform into the supportive partner and soon-to-be dad that Emily desperately needed. He did make a half-hearted attempt for a little while. He picked up a part-time job at a friend's shop and started doing a bit more around the apartment. For a brief moment, Emily was hopeful. She even told me Dave had started talking about how he would step up when the baby comes, and that he was just in shock initially. I remember cautiously encouraging her but privately feeling skeptical. Unfortunately, my skepticism was warranted. The new and improved Dave phase didn't last long. After maybe a month, he began slipping back into old habits. He'd skip shifts at that part-time job, eventually getting fired from it, and I came over one afternoon to find Emily, 5 months pregnant at the time, mind you, struggling to assemble a crib by herself while Dave was napping on the couch. She waved it off like, he was up late, he's tired. I bit my tongue, but I could tell she was disappointed in him too. The breaking point came about 6 weeks ago. Emily had an important prenatal appointment, one of the mid-pregnancy ultrasounds where they do anatomy checks and can find out the gender if you want. She really wanted Dave to come. He initially said he would. The day of, he bailed, supposedly because he wasn't feeling well, But Emily later found out he had actually gone to hang out with a buddy that morning. She was devastated that he chose that over being there for a big moment. That night, they had a huge fight. According to Emily, it was the worst fight they've ever had. Lots of things were said. She told him she was tired of his bullshit. Yes, she used that word, which is very uncharacteristic for her, and that if he wasn't ready to man up, he should just get out. Well, he left, packed a bag and went to stay with his buddy, the same one he'd hung out with. In the weeks since, he's been in limbo, sometimes texting her to say things like, "You pushed me away," or "You're making it impossible for me," which I personally see as gaslighting, but I digress. He's still not back in the apartment, and as of now, Emily has not asked him to come back. They're effectively broken up, though the door isn't completely closed, at least in her mind, for the future. So yeah, Emily is now preparing to be a single mom unless Dave miraculously pulls it together, which at this point, I doubt and she isn't counting on. It's both sad and oddly relieving. Sad because no one dreams of their first pregnancy being like this, filled with stress, heartbreak, and uncertainty. Relieving because at least Emily isn't being dragged down daily by his negativity and unreliability in her space. She even told me, "It hurt like hell to let him leave, but once he was gone, I also felt a strange sense of peace." Like she knew it was the right call. In the aftermath, our friend group and her family have rallied around her. She moved out of the apartment she shared with Dave. Technically it was hers to begin with, but it had too many memories and frankly it was too small for a baby. She's temporarily living back at her parents' house while she figures out a longer-term plan. Her parents have been supportive, though they are also disappointed in Dave. They hadn't known the full extent of what was happening, but they certainly do now. As for me and Emily, our friendship is solid again. Actually, I think this ordeal, as painful as it was, ultimately brought us even closer. I've been there with her through all of it, attending birthing classes as her stand-in partner, late-night calls when she's crying or can't sleep, helping her set up a nursery at her parents' place, etc. I went with her to one of her ultrasound appointments, the one Dave skipped, and got to see the baby on the screen. We even joked that I'm the auntie. It was bittersweet. I wish it had been under better circumstances, but I'm glad I could be there for her. Importantly, I have been extremely careful not to badmouth Dave. I don't need to. His actions speak loudly enough. I mostly just listen when Emily needs to vent and say things like, "You're doing the right thing for you and the baby," rather than "told you so." Believe me, a tiny petty part of me was initially like, he's proving everything I said right. But I would never voice that. My friend is in pain. Rubbing salt in the wound is the last thing she needs. Now, about Dave. He's still around, just not physically. He checks in with Emily occasionally via text, mostly about practical stuff, like asking if she's thought of names or if she needs money for doctor bills. He hasn't actually contributed any money yet, for the record. Emily keeps him updated on basic things about the pregnancy out of fairness, but otherwise they're not really communicating much. He hasn't attended any more appointments. As far as I know, he's crashing with friends and still jobless. It's like he went from being her overgrown child partner to a ghost in a matter of weeks. Emily's stance now is, if Dave decides to step up before the baby is born and really shows change, she'd consider letting him back into their lives slowly, like attending birth, etc. But she's not holding her breath. She's focused on preparing to do this on her own. We threw her a small baby shower last week, just close friends and family. Dave was not there, obviously, though his mom, Emily's would-be future MIL, did send over a huge pack of diapers and a nice note, which I thought was sweet. It's sad because his family is also kind of estranged from him due to his behavior, but they still care about the baby. Messy. I want to highlight this. Emily is incredibly strong. Over the past months, I've seen her go from fearful and in denial to quietly resolute. She even told me, "I'm grieving the relationship I thought I'd have, but I have to focus on the one that's coming, me and my child." I teared up when she said that. She's going to be a great mom, I have no doubt.